Hello there, my name's Marky, and welcome back to some more stories from Reddit. With that said, sit back, relax, chug a prawn to the Barbie, let's get right into it. Cheers. I hate my daughter. So I know this will make me seem bad and all, but above all, I really just need a place to vent. I can't talk about it with my friends or family, nor do I really want to. I'm 27, and I've had a friends with benefits situation with a guy that I went to college with. Let's call him Mark. We were both young and not ready for a relationship, and then I got pregnant. I told Mark about it since I wanted to discuss our options: abortion, adoption, or even giving him custody if he wanted to. I never wanted kids, so I'd be fine with any compromise. However, Mark didn't take it well. I remember him insisting that we could make it work, especially since we were both in our last year of college. He wanted to get married and for us to be a family, but I refused. And then he got his family involved. They called and texted me all the time, even showing up at my part-time job. I know I have no one to blame but myself, but I gave up. I had too many things going on at that time, like the loss of my mother, the stress with the rest of the family, and some stuff going on with my best friend that I won't get into. I remember feeling horrible, but I relented and agreed to keep the baby, although I still refused to get married to Mark. Now we have a 5-year-old daughter together. I'm a mess. I never wanted kids, and although I'm trying, I can't feel any motherly love for her. What makes it worse is that she's genuinely a good kid. She doesn't throw many tantrums, she's always kind, and she doesn't expect much. I feel guilty for hating her. I feel bad all the time. I only get to have her on the weekends, and Mark has her every other day. But that doesn't make me feel better. She talks about wanting to see me and her dad together, but I just can't. I screamed at her once when she drew a little picture of me and Mark holding hands. I apologized after, but I still felt so guilty. I don't know what I'm doing. I just needed to write down everything and get it off my chest. I know I'm a bad mother, I know it, but I don't know how to be better. I don't even know if I want to be better. I just want to give up my parental rights, but even the thought makes me feel even worse. I'm stuck in a hell of my own making. I know I should have fought harder and probably just aborted her, but damn me for being weak, I guess. In the comments, Pretty Princess 014 says, "She's trying to be extra good so that you can like her. I used to do that with my mom all the time until one day I made it up in my head that I was done with it." Yeah, that part of her story made me so sad for her daughter. That poor kid knows her mom doesn't want her and is doing everything she can to appease her. OP doesn't realize, but she already made a little codependent people pleaser. She better leave soon while she has time to forget the time before. She'll definitely remember and be really deeply affected by it, unfortunately. But it may be better for her in the long run. She should really discuss it with the ex and give him time to come up with a plan to make it easier on the kid. I don't know. I have an 8-year-old daughter myself, and her dad and I split up when she was 4. She recently told me she doesn't remember anything from our life before, so there's a chance. Our primary attachments in those formative years create a blueprint for forming relationships in the future. Kids will likely not remember the memories, but their brains and bodies remember the emotions deeply. It's a lot harder to fix problems when we can't remember why they are there in the first place. It's similar with abuse. I work with kids that have experienced a lot, and many of them can't remember what happened to them due to their age when it occurred, or cannot remember their families at all, but the effects of what happened are so evident in all of their behavior, attachments, thinking, and mental health. Not to say that this is the case with your daughter at all, but generally speaking, not being able to remember does not mean the impact goes away. It just finds other ways out and is harder to process and heal from. Another commenter says, "Giving up might make you feel worse, but when your daughter is old enough to realize that her mother doesn't want her, it'll affect the rest of her life. This is your screw-up, not hers. Just bail now and live with it. The alternative is far worse." Believe me, she already knows her mum doesn't want her. I speak from experience. My mother didn't want or like me from the get-go, and no matter how much she pretended to be a loving mother, she could never hide it. I felt it from a very young age, way before I could put it into words. She needs to give up her rights ASAP before even more damage is done. 100% agree. Same. I'm in my 50s and it still affects me. Someone needs to love and nurture your daughter. It is soul-crushing. If he's a good father and loves her, then maybe you should give up your rights and go live your life. Your emotions are getting through, and she'll never understand why you don't like her. It might be better to let her go. She deserves love 24/7, not just on weekdays. And if you're screaming at her, you aren't hiding your dislike of her being around. As much as I don't want to say abandon your child, maybe you do need to, if you love her, let her go. And I don't know, do you even love her? If you don't love her, let her go? It's genuinely heartbreaking to hear that you were neglecting your daughter and you seemingly were baby-trapped by this guy. I can empathize with the situation that it's 5 years down the track, but how at any point did you not just stick with your original plan and just relinquish full custody to him? Is this a situation where you need permission and advice from people on the internet to be like, this is the right thing, give him full parental custody so that she has a loving home and so that you can live your life without the emotional burden that you're putting on your daughter? I don't think you're an asshole, particularly in this situation, but I think what you're putting your daughter through is unfair. And now, on to the update. Some things have happened, and I need to write them down, and maybe even get some insights. I'll call my daughter Abby for the sake of this post. I ended up telling Mark about my desire to change the custody arrangement, and maybe even removing my parental rights. Many people here agreed that it's the best choice, both for me and for Abby. He didn't take it well, and actually texted me about it through the week. He insisted that we could work out whatever was bothering me. We agreed a while ago that texting is okay, but calls are for emergencies only. So when he called me on Friday evening and pleaded with me to come see Abby, I agreed. This is what I really need to talk about. I've seen Abby cry before, but this was something else. She had a complete meltdown, screaming and crying once I got there. She just clung to my leg and screamed at me not to leave her. Why did I want to leave her? What did she do wrong? I cried. I was honestly horrified with how badly she reacted. Mark's mum ended up telling Abby that I was planning on leaving her and that she's not going to go to my house this weekend. I'm sorry, OP, but these people are evil. That is such an evil thing to say to that child. I feel like you were trying to do the merciful thing here, but Jesus Christ, these people suck ass. I had to take Abby to my place sooner than expected, and Mark actually spent the night over as well. He said he's too concerned with Abby and with me to leave us alone. Okay, Mark, you absolute parasite, screw you. I'm completely lost. Even with the way I said that I want to give up my parental rights, I just can't do it now. The image of Abby crying and pleading with me not to leave is just stuck in my mind. I feel hopeless about the entire situation. Currently, I'm laying with Abby on the couch and she's watching TV. She hasn't really left my side since yesterday. I'm used to her pointing at the TV while talking about her favorite characters of whatever cartoon is on. Right now, she's just laying by my side and staying quiet. I can hear Mark moving around in the kitchen. He called in sick to work, and he's staying here for the weekend. I have no idea what to do, and I'm sorry, but I no longer want to leave Abby. That is not an option anymore. Edit. I'd just like to edit and ask for some suggestions about online therapy. What sites do I look for that I'm sure will help me and don't cost too much? Mark is already looking into therapists for Abby in the area, but I'd like to ask for some individual therapy I could attend online. Maybe even suggestions for child therapists online, in case Mark doesn't find anyone? In the comments, Fish Red says, gently, OP, and with sympathy for the conflicting tangle of emotions you find yourself in, I think you need to stop posting about this on Reddit, and I think you need to talk to a professional ASAP. You might get good advice on Reddit, but you're bound to get shitty advice too, and it's not going to be easy to discern the difference. I don't see what bearing the slings and arrows on a thread like this is really going to do for you, or more importantly, for Abby. The only advice that you can really be sure of is, there are professionals that will have much more wisdom and insight into this than your average Redditor. There are professionals who will be able to get you in touch with the emotions and knowledge and the information that you need to get in touch with in order to process this situation much more effectively than a Reddit thread ever will. Please, get genuine help, OP. I'm so glad the top comment on this is, get professional help. This woman does not need to be getting any other kind of advice from Reddit. Therapy for her, for the child, and for Mark while we're at it. This whole thing is a mess, and a child doesn't need to be the one to carry that. As a survivor of criminal child neglect, it's better to just give up the child. Disdain, indifference, and eventual hatred cannot be addressed in a way that a lot of Redditors seem to think. You cannot therapy someone into loving a child. You cannot plead, beg, convince, etc. I had a lot of co-eds in my orphanage. Disdain for own's child is not uncommon. A lot of us agreed that it would be better if we were physically abused rather than just ignored and neglected, because at least the physical abuse makes sense. You get hit for doing bad things. But neglect, particularly emotional neglect, is quite incomprehensible for a child. Like, what do you mean my existence makes you so uncomfortable that you cannot bear to look at me? Yes, either way, a child is left with trauma and issues. But why make the child suffer through witnessing and experiencing emotional neglect and abuse? It's not some kind of moral high ground. The mother does not get cookie points for keeping a child that she actively rejects in all ways. The child isn't getting any cookie points from being around a mother like that either. Sometimes it's better to euthanize the relationship before it poisons everything completely. Yes, even a familial one. I'm not qualified to make any kind of comments on the rest of the post. However, Mark's mum is a complete evil witch. Who the hell does that to their granddaughter that they supposedly love? Plus, you know what? No. I'm gonna say something about this too. I feel sorry for OP because she was effing coerced when she was pregnant. That's what that's called. Reproductive coercion. She needs so much therapy, the kid needs therapy, Mark needs therapy, and they all need to stay the hell away from this horrible piece of shit mother. OP seems like the victim of a somewhat successful, somewhat failed baby trapping. Mark and family are even having the daughter ask for them to get together. Grandma caused the child to have a meltdown to keep OP around. I wonder how accidental the pregnancy actually was. No, I think that after 5 years and with a mother like that, if Mark isn't able to realize just how messed up in the head she was, Mark is in cahoots with her. I'm disgusted by the whole situation as it is, but, I feel like OP is kind of trapped here. That kid is doomed no matter what happens here. That grandmother signed and sealed that kid being emotionally devastated probably for the rest of their life. And as said before, you can't therapy your way out of that. This is such a grim story. What a terrible day to have a brain. I hate that entire family for putting this kid through that. And yeah, OP just has to go get professional help at this point because how do you deal with this situation? It makes me physically hurt. Thank God I don't have kids. And thank God I don't have kids with someone with a piece of shit family like that. That's for sure. Thank you for sharing your story with us, OP. And I really do hope that you get professional help and deal with that absolute, enormous garbage fire. Our next post is by user Temporary7, titled, "Am I overreacting? My boyfriend said he wishes I was still fat after losing weight, and I'm so effing pissed. I, 21 female, have been dating my boyfriend Adam, 28 male, for almost 3 years now." Wee woo, excuse me? 25-year-old dating an 18-year-old. That does not pass the half plus 7 rule. That is a big red flag. I feel like some context is needed to accurately describe our situation. Let me guess, abusive? That's the only context I need. When I was 15, my older brother passed away in a car accident, and it threw me into a depression where I became very overweight. He was my best friend and meant the world to me. Losing him led me into the worst years of my life. A few months after I turned 18, I met Adam. He was one of my friend's older brother, and we hit it off. He is smart, charismatic, and I loved his sense of humor. Adam is also heavy, but he was so comfortable in his skin that it really made me admire his confidence. I couldn't stand to even look at myself in a mirror, so this last year I buckled down and lost weight. A very significant amount, and now I'm even below my high school weight. I've never been this fit in my life, and I feel so good about myself. My 21st birthday was this last Saturday, and Adam and my friends had planned a party for me. Unfortunately, Adam had a family emergency, so he wasn't going to be around for my birthday. I was completely okay with this, and reassured him that it was fine when I drove him to the airport. My friend Andrea recommended that we should instead go to a strip club, and I thought that was an amazing idea. Hey, fair enough, your idea of a good time's a strip club. Go off, I guess. I'd like to reiterate that it would have been a women's-only strip club. The next time I talked to Adam, I told him about the change in plans, and he was very adamant that he didn't want me to go. He said that it wasn't that he didn't trust me, it's that he didn't trust my friends. I ended up dropping the subject to not cause him further stress, and we ended up just having the party they originally planned. Adam arrived today, and I felt something was off. Something has been off since I lost weight. I kept badgering him until he finally opened up. We talked, and he eventually told me that we don't even look like we belong together anymore. He brought up an instance where we met at the grocery store a week ago, and a guy was asking me questions about watermelons in the fruit section. It was a casual conversation, but he referred to my boyfriend as my brother, and I quickly corrected him. The guy apologized, said that we looked similar, and then walked off. At that time, my boyfriend laughed it off, and then didn't bring it up again. He then said something that pissed me off so bad. He said, "Sometimes I wish you were still big so no one else would want you." Hell yeah, green flag that one, oh boy. I lost all sympathy and quickly corrected him. I told him even when I was a big girl, guys hit on me all the time, and just like I always do, I told them I have a boyfriend that I love. He looked dumbfounded when I said this. I told him how effed up it was that he wishes that I was back at the size where I was depressed and hated myself. He told me he misspoke and that I'm blowing things out of proportion. We argued more, and he ended up leaving to his brothers to give me space. I've been sitting here just pissing myself off about what he said. Did he really think that I was that unattractive when I was bigger? If so, then why did he date me? Did he think that I was desperate to be with someone because I was so fat? I just need some third-party advice. Am I overreacting? In the comments, J. Christian Ramirez says, "Not overreacting." And he was a 25-year-old seeking out an 18-year-old to date. Trust that when you're 25, you'll see how big a gap that is. He was probably dating someone that much younger than him because girls his age didn't want him, and he thought that you'd be easier to control. Even if this wasn't an active thought, the second you took control of your body by losing weight, he was unhappy. A good partner hypes you up when you achieve something you wanted, they don't try to cut you down. This dude is not worth the time of day. OP replies, "Well, all I know is that his previous relationship lasted 5 years, and it was a girl that he dated in college. I never really considered that he had the intention to control me, and I really hope that that isn't the case. This is the first comment he's really made that cut me down, but now that I think about it, you're right. He hasn't really hyped me up either. Not overreacting. That was a shitty thing to say. It is nice that even though his feelings weren't admirable, he was able to share them with you as long as he's stopped acting on them and being overly controlling. I'd say thanks for expressing your feelings, but this simply isn't the case. Guy's not hitting on you. I'm happy and healthy at this size, and if this is going to work, then I need you to support me. Clearly, he needs to do some work on himself." And OP says, "You were right, I didn't really pick my words right, and I'm glad that he was able to share how he felt. I'm going to take some time to cool off before I talk to him again. Thank you." You're 21 and feeling good about yourself. Maybe it's time to lose about 300 pounds more of dead weight and leave the guy that snatched up an 18-year-old when he was 25 because he thought no one else wanted her. Oh my god, I totally glossed over this fact. I was about to say not the asshole, but dude's clearly got insecurities about himself and might have just been trying to share that with her because she's under the impression that up until now that he doesn't. But nah, now my skin's crawling. There's layers to this pound cake beyond just the age difference, and the age difference multiplies them. I would have thought that just the premise of him being a guy, even if he is a bigger guy, being attracted to her when she was a bigger girl would say, if I'm attracted to her, that means maybe other guys would be attracted to her. Like, do you have some internalized self-hatred that it's like, no one likes me because I'm fat, therefore I have to go after someone else that is not desirable because no one else could possibly ever love that person? Is this a situation where I shouldn't attribute malice to ignorance? I don't think so. I think he's intentionally being manipulative and trying to knock her down 10 pegs. Screw this guy, you're not overreacting, OP. And now, on to the update. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone for giving me their opinions and advice. It really means a lot to me. I debated if I should post again, but I need an outlet to vent. I've been laying here in the dark, and I've been reading basically all the comments, and I think that an update is warranted. Basically, Adam and I are taking a break, and I've been crying my eyes out for the last few hours. He came home today, and we both agreed that we need to talk and get everything out in the open. He started off by apologizing for what he said, particularly the "sometimes I wish you were still big so no one else would want you" part. I asked if he thought that I was unattractive when I was bigger, and he said no, but he doesn't understand why I'm dieting and exercising the way I am. You done goofed up, Adam. Adam said that I shouldn't have to cook 2 different meals and should just eat what he does, and me going to the gym 6 times a week is obsessive. No, it's not. Push-pull legs, let's go, baby. I told him that it makes me happy bettering myself, and he said that it has completely changed me. That's the point. Adam went on to talk about how all I really care about is my looks now. He says he liked my hair how it used to be before I went to a stylist. He liked how I used to paint my own nails instead of getting them done, and how I never used to wear makeup instead of how I have some on now before I go out. Adam then said he knows that I lost weight because I was unhappy with myself, but he was always happy with me, and he doesn't understand why I have to keep trying to make myself hotter when I was already hot. We talked back and forth, but it felt like I was just doing everything wrong. Adam said that I don't ever want to do things he enjoys anymore, like play video games with him or binge watch movies, and he feels like I'm a different person. I have pushed him to go on walks with me or go to the gym in the past, but he's told me no, so I figured we just had our different hobbies. I feel bad because I see from his point that I have changed, and I may not be the girl that he fell in love with. I told him I love him, and he said he loves me too, but we need to separate for a bit and figure out if we are the best for each other. I didn't argue, I just said okay and let him pack his things and leave. He's letting me stay in the apartment until I can move my stuff out. I've been crying my eyes out and everything feels like a blur. I don't know where to go from here, and I feel like I ruined my first real relationship. In the comments, Company Euphoric says, "You didn't really mention it in your original post that you had started focusing so much on how you look besides your fitness regime, or that you had stopped enjoying the same activities, for example, gaming and movie binging. This isn't a criticism of you, but it does indeed sound like you have changed significantly from the person he knew, so perhaps separation was not a terrible idea. You were very young, and I know that it sounds cliché, but you will find someone else who you are more compatible with in the future. It hurts right now, but you just need time. Be strong." OP replies, "Well, at the time, it felt like me changing my appearance wasn't so much of an issue since he never complained about it, but I see now that I was wrong. Now replaying everything in my mind, his reactions have always been indifferent whenever I would show off my hair or nails to him. I still would play video games and watch movies with him, but it wasn't as often as it used to be. For a time, that's all we did every day. I do appreciate your input, and I know that it may sound dumb, but I'm holding out hope that we work things out." Oh, to be young and unaware. Taking a break? What the hell does that mean? Are you single or taken? Can you have a hookup or no seeing other people? Look, good luck, but you're going to get hit on and realize you were missing out on a lot of fun. I'm surprised he asked for the break. It seems he would be extremely worried that you'll meet someone new and leave him. OP says, "From what he said, he wants us to take some time apart and connect again. I was also confused by what this meant for us, but he doesn't want us to see other people for now. I know most people are suggesting we split up, but I get this sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach when I consider it. Welp, Adam is right about one thing. You shouldn't have to cook 2 different meals. You should only be cooking for yourself, as this is a boyfriend, not a husband. No, you didn't ruin your first real relationship. You were taking a step back from someone who is not supportive or respects you. And OP says, yes, and that's the one thing that's always bothered me. It's so hard having to eat clean and healthy when I have to cook him burgers and other deliciousness. He just never grasped that eating that would have slowed my progress and made me feel awful. First of all, you did nothing wrong. He doesn't want to change, and that's okay, but he's also trying to hold you back from being who you want to be, and that's not okay. The right partner will celebrate and nourish your growth. He is not that. He was only meant to be in your life for a chapter, not the entire book. I'm on a similar journey as you. My husband jokes that I'm not the woman he married, but he supports my journey. We don't need to make 2 meals, which is silly to begin with. If he doesn't want what you're having, he can make his own meals, because he eats healthy with me, even when he would rather not. We have a lot of healthy recipes that work for our family that are pretty good and serve my calorie, protein, and fiber goals. I wanted to get into hiking, so he got into it with me. When I go on walks, he will sometimes come with me. He has a bad knee, so can't do it all the time. He supports me going to the gym, also 6 or 7 days per week, and after several years, is talking about joining up too. True partners will support you. They will find ways to compromise, i.e., after you get back from the gym, why don't we cuddle up and watch a movie together? Instead of trying to keep you at their level, they will be excited to see you grow, even if they aren't ready for the same growth yet. OP replies, honestly, hearing about how you are with your husband sounds so nice. I think I just got into the habit of accepting that Adam is the way that he is. With the food situation, I knew he was unhappy eating what I ate, and sometimes he wouldn't eat my food at all, so I would make him what he wanted to make him happy. I show love by doing things for others, and I think I did that a lot with him. I would ask him to come on walks with me or even bring up the gym, but it was never a, I'd think about it response. Just always a no. I see that Adam really hasn't compromised with me on things that I want to do, but I can't help but feel bad because I was the one that changed our dynamic. I just don't want to go back to wasting hours and days in front of a screen. I hope that now that we're taking some time apart, he'll maybe compromise with me a little more. I'm not ready for our relationship to end. Someone else says, exactly how does her getting her nails professionally done instead of doing them herself affect Adam or change her as a person? Sounds like he doesn't like her going out and doing stuff that involves other people. Smells like isolation as the first step to abuse. Yeah, this guy thrives on her being miserable. Definitely so that he can control her more. You're not the girl I fell in love with. Yeah, bro. That's what happens when you date an 18-year-old. She grows up and starts finding herself. Yeah, she wasn't a saint either, but come on, man. If you don't want her to change, then buy a doll. Yeah, and I think Adam is pretty well set in his ways at this point. He will continue to go hours and days in front of a screen. He's not going to change his dynamic. And if he does change the dynamic, it'll just be a love-bombing response where he changes from maybe 3 days and then goes straight back to what he was doing before. But you see, OP, that he has the capacity to change. So you're like, maybe he means it and I just need to help him a little bit more. Please update in the future and tell us that you've left his bum ass, that he is no longer a 300-pound weight on your life, and that you are thriving in a healthier dynamic in whatever that is in your life. But genuinely, you need to get rid of him. He is not good for you. He will always be toxic. As always though, thank you for the story, OP. I very much appreciate it. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!